Perfect. Imagine the scenario. You're working with an AI assistant to deploy a critical application, and halfway through the process, it needs your AWS credentials. Or you're using an AI customer support tool and it realizes it needs to know which device the customer is using to provide the right troubleshooting steps. And today, I'm excited to talk about the breakthrough that changes everything, that is MCP Elicitation. This MCP elicitation is not available in most of the tools like Cloud Desktop, Cursor, VS Code yet, since it's very recent. But I've built a working demo, and once you see this, you will understand why every AI company is racing to implement it. Cool. So, what is MCP elicitation? MCP elicitation is the latest addition to the Model Context Protocol that enables AI system to request additional information from the users dynamically at runtime while maintaining security and other user controls. So, to give an example, before elicitation, if an AI agent needed more information, it was stuck. It could only work with what you initially provided. But now, with elicitation, it can dynamically ask for exactly what it needs when it needs. So, the perfect analogy is like, let's say you're talking to a vending machine and it only takes the exact change. There's limited interaction. Let's take another example wherein you wanted to troubleshoot your device. The AI asks you back question saying that, okay, which device or which model of the phone are you actually using? If you say that, okay, you have a particular issue in certain places of the phone, like let's say the screen or touch screen is not working, it would actually ask questions related to that, right? Is it the entire screen that is not working or a particular place? So based on that, it can actually find the exact troubleshooting methods to solve the problem. So this is like the interaction that's gonna change when once this elicitation comes into production or like people starts using it or implementing it. So the old problem obviously it's the AI is isolated, right? It doesn't understand what the actual user need is. In the usual conversation, we actually dump the text to the LLM and we expect it to come back with the actual response. But let's say that after the response comes back, we think that, okay, I should have given much more additional information so that it could have given me much more better answer, right? And you put more information. And then again, it comes back and then you feel that, okay, I should have given much more information. To give an example, let's say that you wanted a pricing of AWS right, service, right? Probably let's take DynamoDB. So you wanted to understand DynamoDB's pricing. You ask the LLM and probably LLM will go online. Probably you could use their MCP tools, cost calculator tool, I think, and you would actually get back the response. But after getting the response, you think that, okay, I should have actually given the region, right? AWS region, which I actually need the pricing for, because by default, you would actually give US East 1. But let's say you want some other region, right? You could have actually asked that. So let's say that the system itself is asking you the question, hey, Gio, you have asked for the pricing. Okay, you haven't mentioned the region. Okay, can you give me the region or shall I go with the default one itself? So you click on yes or no or the cancel, whatever it is. And accordingly, if that interaction would have been initiated from the tool, right, we would feel that what you call the comfortable, or like we would actually feel we are actually talking to a human here, right? Even though that's a system that is running behind the scene. So this is what the old versus new is actually going to change with this, obviously, with this elicitation. Old method is obviously fragmented, inconsistent, and obviously broken user experience, right? You keep asking question again, and you expect it to give good response, but it wouldn't, right? In the case of elicitation, we actually expect, or like we can actually think that, okay, it would give much more better result because there would be certain things that we would have actually missed, and if the AI system is actually asking the question, you could actually get much more better results as per your response. So how it works? Let's talk about the actual flow. The common thing is obviously you go to Cloud Desktop or ChatGPT or any AI tool, you start the conversation with the AI. And if the AI is capable of calling some tools or agents, it would actually start invoking a tool. And let's say the agent needs more information. Let's say the agent got updated, right? When let's say that your MCP server is hosted remotely, and they have updated the ask, right? They updated the parameters or whatever it is. So if it's a default parameters or if it's actually a required parameters, probably the agent would already understand, or the AI tool will actually understand that, okay, these are the required parameters. Let's say that the server is actually asking you, hey, to do a much better or to serve you much better, why not give me these informations? And to actually that the agent would ask for more information, and that is actually presented, or that elicitation request is actually presented to the user in the form of what do you call the form, HTML form. That's the easiest way to think about. Probably there could be millions of ways that is actually shown to the user. Probably in the CLI method, probably it will actually ask a question. Okay, can you select any of these things? So yeah, whatever it is. So so the server is actually generating the elicitation request. It comes back to the user, and the user sends the what do you call fills of the form, and the agent continues with the process. Maybe it'll actually create more elicitation requests as it needs more information, right? So this back and forth conversation, even though we had the same thing with the AI, here it's like it's making more sense, right? It's adding more context, the context which actually makes sense to give a much better response. One more thing I wanted to show you or tell an example is about multi agents talking to each other. So here we are just talking about one agent. Let's say that this agent wants to talk to the other agent, right? So in the normal cases that you would be passing the entire text blob to the next agent, and we expect that to understand from that, and probably from that it actually continues the flow, right? But in this case, since we are actually bringing a structure to this thing, right? Thing in sense the flow. One agent could actually pass that structure to the next agent, so that it need not spend time in understanding what it is. It needs to. It can just go ahead and probably execute the request itself. So here the magic has mentioned the slide. It's like the structured response, right? Multiple agents can actually talk to each other, and this would actually make more faster responses, right? Because it's not spending time to understand. There is no LLM call happening in between to understand the natural language, right? It's actually the required parameter. So all the tools can get connected in much more better way. I know there are different ways people have already done this using LangChain and other things, but using this elicitation, it actually eases up a lot of things, right? And this is actually bringing in a lot of standardization across the industry. The elicitation right now, it expects three response from the user. One is obviously accept. Let's say that you get a pop-up box saying that, okay, why not enter, give us give me a number of person who would be attending a function, something like that. You enter the number in the box. So you actually accept that. You can actually decline it. Probably go back and say that, okay, here is a new request. Probably you can actually decline, and maybe that back and forth can happen. You can actually cancel the intent, and obviously it stops the what you call the conversation. Three response is what is expected right now. So obviously, why should you care? You might be thinking, okay, this is already happening in different ways. Why should I actually understand this thing? I've already spoken about the standardization that is happening across the market, and also the speed in which we expect the response coming back to the user, right? So when you pass a structured response, if the structured response is actually given as a request to the next model or next agent, this will actually speed up a lot of things. So traditionally, you expect the AI to understand everything, right? You send everything to it, hoping it would actually understand, but obviously it would have missed something, right? And it needs to be started again. In the case of context length, right? Once that context length is actually over the limit, you will have to probably start a new conversation, and you are doing the same thing again and again, expecting the answer to come back. The real workflows are different. Like obviously, right now it's all messy, it's all iterative. You need to go back and forth. Elicitation is where we expect things to improve, right? Instead of like wasting all the context window, you could expect the AI come back and asking us questions, saying that, okay, these are the required field. Why not give me this information? And probably some would be even optional parameters too. So real power is obviously conversation workflows, right? The analogy which I gave, right? Customer support, where a customer is customer is actually talking to a chatbot, and chatbot is actually asking more questions so that it can actually pinpoint and then give the best troubleshooting possible, like solution possible for that problem with the user. So that's the real power, the conversation. Even though we are doing the conversation in the existing world, the conversation is not fruitful, right? We are wasting a lot of GPUs, in the sense like we are wasting a lot of tokens. That's actually more GPUs running behind the scene, right? Let's say if you are able to optimize a lot of things, we would actually save times. We would save a lot of other resources, right? Natural resources, artificial resources, whatever it is. Cool. Let's talk about some real world examples. We already talked about the supports, right? The app keeps crashing. The AI detects the device information. Probably AI shows device selection form, something like that, from where he can actually select the device. Probably when we select iPhone 15, the AI comes back saying that, okay, these are the specific steps to troubleshoot your device. And again, in DevOps flow, DevOps staging environment is where the developer is actually working. So AI needs development configuration. So shows from with a shows form where he needs to enter the region name or instance type, and then he fills out, and then it actually proceeds. Obviously, this is like a probably not the one that would actually happen, because DevOps would have already implemented their workflows, automated workflows, right, with a single click button. But yeah, just give an example where AI is actually taking care of all the deployments. Data analysis again, generate sales report. Again, AI says that it needs a date range. Obviously, it can do a sales report generation. Probably there would be some default for a month, or for a week or so. But yeah, let's say here the agent is actually asking for date range and filters, and then obviously AI shows the date picker and different filters, and the analyst sets a parameter, and then the precise report is actually generated. Again, enterprise approvals for budget approvals, right? You have different people who would be actually approving different things in the pipeline, right? So here, using elicitation, you can actually give the what you call the, instead of AI doing all the things, right? If you want some human in the loop kind of thing, where the manager or respective folks should actually approve based on some justification that is given, right? You can actually give that elicitation pop up with all the messages or like the action items for the user. So the transformation is from static to dynamic. So static in sense we are making the vending machine to ask us a lot of other questions, right? Hoping you include everything and then we get a much better result. Again, knowledge shareable assistant, start with your goal. AI guides. So he basically, it's like you start with your goal, that's intention, and then AI keeps asking you questions, and then you actually get a improvised conversation, and then obviously perfect results is actually provided. We are giving the AI system to think ahead and then communicate clearly to us, collaborate naturally with humans, and deliver precise results. Obviously, we have already talked about this thing. You might be confused with Claude. Claude is already doing this thing because when Claude goes online, before it goes online, it would actually ask some couple of questions, right? Saying that, okay, do you need this? What kind of audience are you looking for? Those kind of questions, basically 3-4 questions actually asked. That is from its own understanding, right? As model improvises or model grows, probably it will give much more better answers or like much more better questions. But let's say that the tool that is actually getting invoked, right, it needs its own what you call validations. So that is where elicitation actually makes more sense, right? So before AI is executing the tool is saying that, okay, I need this information to get things getting executed, right? So from that, probably the LLM can actually come back to the user. Obviously the AI system is coming back to the user, and the user is actually giving the feedback, and obviously precise results is delivered. So obviously this is the future, right? More interactions. We need to spare time, or we shouldn't waste time here. We need to make sure things are actually done as soon as possible, and once things are actually flown in the right structure, right? Instead of making the LLM think again and again just to process, right? Each tool will have its own LLM connection, and once you send the entire text blob, it takes more time to analyze the text and then probably grab content from that. Instead of that, if we maintain the structure, right? If we maintain the protocol across, and if this is becoming a standard for the future, then yeah, this is actually a very good thing that would actually change a lot of interaction with the LLMs. So here is basically obviously the vision is obviously the AI is actually truly augmenting the human capacity, right? Instead of replacing us. So it's basically it's trying to understand more information from the user. Okay, so let's stop with the theory, and let's see how the client and server is actually interacting with the solicitation feature. I mean, obviously the source code, you can find it in my repository. You can actually find the link in the description too. So before I walk you through the code, let me actually run the server and client and show you the demo first. So let me start the server, UV, run Python, and let's start the elicitation server. Cool, the server has started up. And by the way, this server is actually a streamable HTTP server. So we'll be talking more about this, probably a different video. But yeah, to give a context here, I will be using a streamable HTTP. And on the other terminal, let me run the client. That's UV run Python elicitation, and then this time it's client.py. Cool. So we have started the booking process. So basically this demo is actually showing how I'll be booking, I'll be raising a request to book a table, and then the elicitation would kick in, and it would actually ask me information, what all it actually needs, right? Let's say the date, the number of people who's actually attending. So in this, you can see that, okay, I run the client, and obviously the client, once I ran, it actually got connected to the server, and I could see what all capabilities the client has, and also what all tools the server is actually having. So in this case, I have a tool which says book underscore table. And the booking process started. Obviously, there is no arguments. So in the test case, I've actually created a multiple testing types, right? Where I've sent one argument and not the other argument, and vice versa, and sending no argument. So in this case, I haven't sent any argument. So it's asking. So the elicitation has come from the server saying that, okay, please enter a date. Let me enter a date, past date, and show you how the validation is happening. Let me put some other number. Oh, that's not a date. Okay, 03. Cool. So server has sent back a new elicitation saying that, okay, hey man, the date that you have sent is actually invalid. Please enter a future date. So let me enter a future date. So this time I'll actually make a mistake, right? Let's say I don't send the date. Again, it says that, okay, you need to send an actual date in this format. So 2025 and 07, future date 09, enter. Cool. And now it's asking me, okay, enter the party size. and I have actually defaulted to 1 to 20. Let's say you're actually entering 25. It'll actually throw an error. It should be something between 1 and 20. So let me enter 10. So 10 folks would be attending my party. Cool. And right now it's asking me, please confirm your booking for 10 people on so and so date. I say no. It'll say that, okay, booking has cancelled. Do you want to try a next scenario? So this is a different scenario which date and other things are actually added. So let me go and say no. Let me rerun the demo. Okay, let me, by the way, clear space and probably start from top so that you can actually see the entire process. So this time I'll actually add a valid date and probably a number here. This time I'll change it and I'll say, so previously I said no, and this time I'll say yes. Okay, it's asking for, again, any special request or notes. So I'll say, make sure the food is delicious. Exclamation mark. Cool. So yeah, it has actually responded back saying that, okay, on the left side you can actually see what are the elicitation requests that has actually come in. So here the result is success and it's actually taking confirmation from me. So this is where you say allow, decline and cancel it. This is one of the option. So here I've accepted it and actually it has gone ahead and booked the place. Try next scenario. So here, I mean, basically here the date is already pre-filled. So with date only. So date is already sent as an argument and here it's only asking for number of folks that would be attending. So it's already taken the date. And do you want to confirm the booking? I'll say yes. Nothing. Again, same thing, right? And you want to continue with the different scenario. Here, date is invalid. And that scenario. Cool. So on the right hand side, you have seen the demo, but on the left hand side, you can see what are the elicitation that has happened, right? The elicitation request response, what has come and gone from the client and the server side. So you can see elicitation of date, get party size, confirmation booking, and so on. So elicitation is happening here. Let me walk you through the code. So on the server side, obviously this is something that is new actually in the SDK. So if you look at the project this thing TOML file, usually when you install MCP, the CLI version, it's actually 1.9.4. So as of this recording, 1.9.4 doesn't have elicitation included. Doesn't have instance. Let me show you. If I go to VN libraries and quickly going to MCP and the server, this elicitation file is actually missing, or it won't be there in this release 1.9.4. Probably when you're seeing this video, they would have actually released a newer version. Probably that newer version would have elicitation included, right? So for this, I actually installed directly from Git itself. So here I've actually taken the latest source code and then I've actually installed that in my virtual environment. So that's one thing that you will have to look forward. I'm not sure when they will actually, which version of the Python SDK will have elicitation. Cool. So back to the server. So elicitation here, as we said, accept, elicitation, accepted, declined, and cancelled are the three elicitation that is actually supported right now. And probably these are the three commonly would be used across. And I've actually defined the schema, the date schema, the party size schema, and confirmation booking schema. So you might be wondering, okay, these are all hard-coded, right? Maybe some cases where you expect LLM to do it this dynamically. So since this MCP server would actually reside on the server side, we can actually create our own personal logic, right? Because this MCP client would be for particular use case. Let's say you want to talk to a Redis database, you want to talk to an XYZ service, you can actually define the requirements here and you can actually keep changing the requirements here so that next time when a new request come and if you added a new schema for validation, it would actually create an elicitation request back to the user. So this is how elicitation is actually getting called, right? From the context, it's actually taking the elicitation and the message and the schema. And from the result is actually checking if it is accepted or not, if it's declined or not, if it's cancelled or not. So here for the demo, I have actually not done anything. Here probably you can actually add a trigger that, okay, the user has actually declined. Probably you can actually log it on your server side, right? And obviously the date validation, if it is a newer date or not, that's a date in the future. And here the actual tool, right? The booking, the book table tool, which actually takes the context, the date, and the party size. So these are all what you call default values here. So if you're not sending anything, probably it will set to 0. But here, since I've actually put some validation, it should be greater than 0, and there should be an actual date. It's actually getting triggered. I mean, the validation is actually getting triggered. So yeah, in this case, again, validation date validation is happening, and then blah, blah, blah. It's actually checking the elicitation request. So let's say the date parameters request is coming back again, and from that elicitation is actually getting validated here. So its get date is actually getting validated. And same thing goes for the party size also. So get party size. And again, here is a confirmation whether we are actually confirmed the elicitation booking or not. Sorry, the elicitation or not the booking. In this case, obviously booking a hotel. And I've actually added some supporting code here just to track or just to have all the logs here. And obviously it is running on a HTTP streamable server. You can actually go with SSE, but SSE seems to be deprecated, and this is actually the latest, and probably going forward is the newer standard that would be used across, and SSE is actually getting deprecated. And the stdio is actually only for the local development, right? It's actually the standard error and standard what you call message that is coming out from the server and client side. But once you go to the production, you probably need to switch to SSE or streamable HTTP. And since SSE is getting deprecated, it's already getting deprecated and getting replaced by streamable HTTP, probably this demo is actually inclined towards that. So what's happening on the client side? Client side, quick thing that you should actually know is obviously you can actually change the MCP server. So when you start the server, it's actually getting run on 8000. So if you want to change the port number, you can actually do that. And obviously /MCP is where it's actually getting called, right? So here I'm actually doing a small date entry, and again party size, input, confirmation. Probably most of the things are not needed. I'm just adding it so that we can actually see the response, right? Yes or no, and those kind of things. So when you get an elicitation, it's actually getting checked, right? And these are the information that is actually shown in the CLI. Okay, so before I talk about the callback, right, I have to show how it's getting invoked here. So when you set a streamable client, right, you will create a session here, and probably most of the user would actually fail to add this, and you will get an error saying that, okay, elicitation is not supported, right? So if you're getting that, it means that you need to you need to have a callback function. That means when server sends a elicitation request, the client should be in a position to have this called, right? The callback function should be created, and obviously that's how this is getting executed, and the elicitation happens back and forth, and it's sent back. So you'll have the back and forth conversation with the server. So when the server sends it, okay, I need more information, it'll actually create a request, and it comes back to the client, and then the back and forth conversation until the accept thing is actually called. So accept is actually happening only after all the validations completed. And here, yeah, there are a couple of scenarios, right? So basically, when you make a call, let me jump to that arguments. Where is that? Cool. So this is how a tool call is happening, right? You can send the name of the tool. Probably this tool name would be given by the LLM. So let's say that Claude is actually invoking this tool, right? So this would be actually passed from Claude itself. I'm saying that, okay, this tool is what I want to call. So you can actually dynamically pass the variable here. So in this call, I've just hard-coded. In this demo, I've actually hard-coded the tool name. So arguments, you can actually pass the arguments, or you can actually pass the default. You can actually leave it as a default string itself. Default dictionary. But here is actually taking the arguments from this. So here it's actually a blank dictionary, and that is sent here. And for each time, so this is actually a loop. So each time you finish one scenario, it triggers the next scenario. And in the next scenario, you are passing the date parameter, date param, and then next thing there is invalid date, and that's the invalid date here. Cool. You can create different scenarios for demos. So I just created a couple of scenarios so that I can actually test different things. So that's how elicitation works. It's pretty straightforward. I haven't seen any client-side code anywhere. I had to go through the package and understand how they are actually getting implemented. And yeah, it seems to be working fine. Probably this could be a guiding factor for many to implement elicitation on their side. And I look forward for more updates from them. Okay, so that's about the demo. And if you have any questions, do leave a comment in the comment box if you are watching this on YouTube. If you're seeing this on LinkedIn, please to comment or DM me. We can have this conversation and see how we can actually build more MCP related or any tech related stuffs. If you like this video, do subscribe. I'll be adding more content, mostly on MCP and a lot of other things which I feel personally very interested in and which is not there out there in the market. So I want to create videos which is very rare to find, or like which is hard to implement. There is no much examples and other stuff, right? So those kind of videos is where I actually want to release on YouTube. So if you think my content is good, and if you feel that okay, I can actually help you build a lot of things, right? Do get in touch. We could actually do something great for the world. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in next video. Thank you.